Okay, so point two, a lot of lack of preparation and research on investors before even approaching them. This is generally a plan that is very common. So if you imagine time is running from left to right with a gray line, and the circles are the investors, and you can see maybe it's sort of amber is quite interested, green they said they like it, and red is not for them. It's quite sporadic, right? So you'll generally just we see go and find an investor, someone's being referred, you reach out with some cold emails. There's no real plan. It's just let's see whoever sees us. We'll go and present, and what you generally find is it's just so random that you can't really build any momentum. And we'll talk about that in the next section. So really recommend going back and before starting anything is doing the research. So I've got some key points up here. The top three squares are what I would recommend starting with first, which is first of all on the top left something called Angel List. If you haven't heard of that, it's probably the number one places all investors go to now. And they it's good for sharing deals, seeing what's out there, what's hot, looking at pitch decks and backgrounds of teams. It's and people raise money through this platform. So with that, definitely go in and you look for investors that kind of have the expertise in your sector. Perhaps they invest in similar businesses to yours, or they've started a business themselves and in that sector, so they'll be quite knowledgeable. It's generally really good to reach out and explain what you're doing and make a start with that first. LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn, a lot of angels and investors and even entrepreneurs on there. You'll be surprised how many people are quite open to just being contacted on that platform because it is a business platform. There is a pro version of LinkedIn, if you're not familiar, which is about £300 a year, but you can direct mail pretty much anybody you like. So if you find an entrepreneur or an investor that you really want to get hold of, you can just go into LinkedIn, clap that button, and 9 times out of 10, you'll pretty much get a reply as long as your message isn't waffly and overly long. Um, yeah, so we also have warm referrals. If you are ever going to approach a venture capital or a pro angel investor, you really do need to be referred by somebody. They see so many deals every month and every week that unless it's from a trusted source, it's unlikely you'll get seen unless you are the next big business. So it's often good to try and look for people who those investors have already put money into. So again, other entrepreneurs, and try and get a hold of them first. Ask for a coffee, just a chat, send them a quick email or a LinkedIn or an Angel List post, and see if you can convince them, which in turn they will then refer you on, which gives you a really strong in. And the ones at the bottom are they're possible. I see a lot of people using these things of like crowdfunding, like Seeders and Crowdcube. Again, a lot of amateur angel investors, though. So you possibly could raise money, but they are going to give you very small amounts. They don't really add a lot of value because they don't do this for a living and have the connections and expertise. And you probably end up with the wrong type of valuation, which is, again, not something we can go into here, but make it very hard to raise a future round because of how the mechanics work. And some angel networks are better than others. You hear a lot, especially around like London. London Business Angels is pretty good, actually. There are a few I won't name who charge you to pitch and have maybe just accountants who put a couple of grand in every year who are never really serious and probably just waste your valuable time. And then grassroots, anything, any hustle you can do, any connections or favors you have, cold outreach and general emails. I generally use that as a last resort if you don't get anywhere, but it's worth putting it here. And just really briefly on tracking your progress here. So again, back to planning and what you should do is create like a Google sheet or an Excel spreadsheet. And an example, all I do here, if you can see the 5 columns at the top, I put the name of the person or the company, what type, are they an angel investor, professional, amateur, are they a venture capitalist or an early sort of fund, specifically who referred me, again, really important to have that, what my next meeting is, and notes. So notes such as, how much they might invest, how big their fund is, what I need to do next. And then color code them based on green. I definitely have a deal. They've offered it to me on an email or a term sheet, and I know they're going to invest. Blue is I'm pretty confident that I can get them to commit, but it's really promising, but I just need a little push to get them over the line. Red is they either said, oh, come back and tell me more later, or maybe it's not for me at this point, and they are really just pushed to the bottom of the pile. Even though people say, I'll come back later, keep me updated, that generally means no. So rather than wasting your time, I put them to the bottom of the pile, and we don't really focus on those. And then orange is just, again, things to do. I'm trying to get a contact. I haven't quite worked out what the best warm referral might be yet. So I'll keep this list and I'll update this kind of every day, because fundraising as a process really needs your full attention for quite a long period of time.